Hello, everyone. My name is Tyler Townsend, and this has been something that has, over the last few days, kind of acclimated inside my brain, and I've been trying to process the exact reaction, I suppose, uh, to what it is that we all saw for the Walking Dead Season 6 finale. Now, first of all, I want to state that I don't think that the episode was um, terrible up until the cliffhanger. I enjoyed it. I thought it was wonderful storytelling. I thought it was done amazingly well, except for the cliffhanger. And the cliffhanger ruined this episode and the entire season. And this is why. This whole season has been a lead up to that exact moment of Negan's entrance and of him killing somebody. Because throughout the entire first half, we are preparing ourselves for a death. We're preparing ourselves for Glenn's death. The whole shitstorm that everybody was up in arms about the dumpster and everything like that he was hiding under, and about all those episodes spaced in between where we didn't know what happened to them, that was all preparation for a character dying. And while it made sense for Glenn to be the one to get killed by Negan because of this and because of the other close calls he's had throughout this season, I still think it's going to be Daryl. But it was the first, the A side of this season was preparing us for a death. And then we get into the B side of this season, to where it's just nothing but little innuendo and little nuances of just references and addendums towards Negan, and it's just all these little hints, saying like the raid on this the Savior camp or holdout, whatever you want to call it, where there's the pictures of all the victims of Lucille with their heads caved in. And that's foreshadowing as to what's happening. And Glenn's the one who sees that, which kind of makes for another argument on that point. But I still think they'll take Daryl out just to get the reaction, just so people can hate Jeffrey Dean Morgan, which should have been done in this episode. And a lot of people are going to say that people just wanted to see who got killed because they want that instant gratification, and that we as viewers and societies are so spoiled now that we have to have whatever we want when we want it. And that's not what it is. That's absolutely not what it is. This is about making a cohesive story. It's about making something that makes sense and that is an interesting watch, and something that has not necessarily a payoff, but something that is rewarding to the viewer itself, to where it makes sense and to where it's not like, oh, what the fuck, come on, this is just the easy way out, this is a cop-out. This whole season was a giant cock tease up to this point. It was nothing but, oh my god, Negan's out there. The Saviors are out there. What are we going to do? They're supposed to be we'll survive, but everybody knows how fucked up and how big and bad they are from all this shit that we've seen. And even in this episode, we see them block off every fucking road entrance or every pathway that Rick and the gang are taking. And over the course of this episode, we see Rick deteriorate. And this is what Scott Gimple and Robert Kirkman and a lot of the showrunners were talking about in terms of what this cliffhanger was supposed to mean. And that you were supposed to see the deterioration of Rick's confidence. And you did. You saw that. And they also went on to say that the reason they did the POV shot and they didn't show who it was is that they wanted you to feel a part of that scene. And might I counter argument that with the fact that you could have still done that and still shown us who it was and made this make sense. Or if you want to go the full route of making it about Rick's deterioration, instead of having a POV shot of Negan killing them, why didn't we have like a full-on close-up of Rick's face and hear all that shit in the background going on, because that would have made more sense for the story that they're saying that they're trying to tell. And that would have, Andrew Lincoln's a fucking fantastic actor. It's not impossible for him to, go beyond that fucking wonderful performance that he was already doing, So it doesn't really make sense, and that's the argument. It's not that we didn't get what we want. It's that it doesn't make sense for the whole story that they've been telling. This whole season was building up to this little 7-minute or whatever snippet of film of Negan, of him being introduced into this universe, of him making his grandiose entrance in taking somebody the fuck out, to show how fucking heavy and how fucking cinematic and fucking important his character is, and so that you can see the magnitude of events, or expect the magnitude of events that would follow after this. This was nothing more than really a way to try to pull in viewers for the season 7 premiere, which doesn't make sense because this is the most watched show on television and one of the highest rated shows in the history of television. You're pulling in like an average of 15 million watchers, every single Sunday. Why the fuck? It doesn't make sense. You're going to get people to come in, and if you would have showed who got killed and made this story more cohesive, and we would have wanted to know what the aftermath is, instead of this just purgatory that we're left in now of, well, what the fuck? This just doesn't, it's not, I don't want to say rewarding, because then that goes into that whole, like, oh, then we should have felt what, or we should, see what we want when we want it. It's about having the story make sense. And I get the whole, the front of, it's supposed to show the deterioration of Rick, and it's supposed to be, his character breaking down, and it's the end of this chapter. That's fine. I understand that. I get that. I think it's a wonderful direction. But you can't really do that the way that you did it, because it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense in the fact that in that whole frame, we don't see Rick. We don't see his specific reaction. We don't really get a good feel of how they're, taking this, or how Rick is taking this death. So it just doesn't really make sense for why it was shot this way, aside from the fact that they wanted to do a cliffhanger. At this point, I do want to say I have nothing wrong with cliffhangers if they're done properly. This was not done properly. This was a way to stir up emotion and reaction. Really, that's what it was. And while that's all fine and dandy, I don't think it was properly done. Game of Thrones spoilers, and I know everybody's going to fucking compare this to Game of Thrones, and I'm probably going to get shit for comparing it to Game of Thrones, but this is a good example. In Season 5, and I'm spoiler, Jon Snow gets killed. And while it's not necessarily a cliffhanger, it kind of is, in the fact that, or at the Season 5 finale, I should say, he gets killed, and it's not necessarily a cliffhanger, but it does leave us wondering, and it's like, what the fuck happens next? So it's a cliffhanger in the sense that we're just completely lost, and we want to know what happens. And it's not a traditional cliffhanger, I'll say that much, but it is something that makes you want to come back, and because everybody wants Jon Snow to live, obviously. The same thing could have been fucking done here. That's what I don't get. And obviously, there's no coming back in The Walking Dead, except for you coming back as a walker, but if you don't know, they're getting hit in the fucking skull by Negan, so there ain't no coming back. It just doesn't make sense from a storytelling perspective. This is not something, and it's directed by Greg Nicotero. I have nothing against Greg Nicotero. He's one of the best directors I've ever seen in my entire fucking life, and probably the best Walking Dead director there is. I honestly don't think this was, it may have been, I'm not sure, but like the whole shot for the POV thing, it's an interesting take, but it took me out of the whole experience, because maybe I was expecting too much or whatever, but I feel like if you would have just showed us who got killed, or at least showed Rick's face and kept it a cliffhanger at that, it would have made more sense. And this whole story arc for what you've been telling would have been a lot more cohesive, and it would have been the best season of The Walking Dead. But because you chose to do this, it took out all the momentum and all the suspense of the entire season building up to this, because we finally see Rick being, oh, hey, I don't give a fuck about these goddamn saviors. We'll just go kill the mother sleeping. To the point to where he's just like, all of that is lost when you do this cliffhanger. All of that is lost. And the fucking beautifully done monologue and fucking shot of Negan. It's so fucking wonderful. It's so good. But it's just fucking, it's shit on with this cliffhanger. It just takes out all the fucking emotion from it. Because we don't get that fucking, again, I don't want to say payoff because it sounds like I want to see who it is. I just want this to make sense. I want it to fucking have this cohesive story that it should have, instead of being just fucking cliffhanger. And we have to wait just so we can get a reaction. And you got a reaction, but it's a negative reaction. But it's just, I still think it would have been a lot better to just go the route of showing Rick's face. I read that in an article and it made so much fucking sense, and I applaud whoever wrote that. I don't remember who it was from or what website, but it makes a lot of sense for what they were saying that they wanted to do. If you're not going to show it off, get that close up of Rick's face when he's just going and all that shit, to where it makes more cohesive sense for the story they say they're trying to tell, and it wouldn't be as bad of a cliffhanger. Of course, there's going to be people who are entitled and want that payoff, and they just want to know who dies. But I understand that you want to do new storytelling and all this other stuff, and I'm okay with that. I'm very open to that. I like seeing that. I like seeing different things, and I like seeing the variation from the comics. But I want to see it done well. And I think for this, and for all the momentum and all the build-up that this season had, just showing the death would have made a lot more sense thematically. It would have been, I think, probably the best episode of The Walking Dead if they'd done this. Well, I don't know. No Way Out, the mid-season premiere, was fucking fantastic. But this, it would have been a lot better. It would have been one of the better episodes if we got to see Negan's full potential. And that was something that wasn't achieved. And that was something that needed to be achieved, because during this whole big fucking scene, he is terrifying. He is fucking legitimately scary. And it's just, he's true to the character from the comic. And he's pulled straight off the panel, with the exclusion of him not saying fuck every 5 seconds. So it really kind of hurt the whole story progression to do this, to not see Negan's full potential arise as well. That's another point to that. Because that would have gave us time to not only mourn the character's death, but to hate Negan. We would have had fucking 6 months to gestate all this hatred and all this anger for fucking Negan if we got to see who he killed. And that would have made us fucking hate Negan, and he would have been the most hated villain in television. And that's what he needs to be, and that's what he was not able to, or that's what was not able to accomplish. Not any fault to Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but just the misdirection of, let's spin this so we can try to make it a better season 7 premiere. And that's what it is at the end of the day. They can say that they want it to be, Rick's story deteriorating and all this fun stuff, but that's not what it is. It's really not. If it was, they would have did that close-up on Rick's face. They would have made it more directly about Rick instead of making it a POV shot, which was just something to more or less make us speculate for 6 months. And to make us they were literally forcing our hand to watch the season 7 premiere, even though they didn't need to, because we would have watched it anyways. This is my opinion. You can think differently. That's what the internet is for. But all I ask is, please, guys, just in the future, do your cliffhangers better. Like, nothing wrong with the cliffhanger. They make sense when they need to make sense. But this did not make sense for the whole story that was being told. And it was not a good payoff. And it just was not done correctly. There was a lot of other ways that cliffhangers could have been done. You could have left it off at the eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and just had just a shot going up, looking up from like the ground to Negan, like they did numerous times, of just him holding Lucille, and then just cut from there. And while people still would have been pissed, I think it would have been a better cliffhanger. Instead of, showing us who died, but not showing us who died, and not showing Rick's reaction, if that's the story you're trying to tell. But anyways, I've been rambling on for about 16 minutes, give or so, or give or take. So, I don't know, guys. It's just a shitstorm of an episode, all because of this cliffhanger. And really, it ruined this season because there was so much momentum that was just squandered. And do I think they can come back from it? Of course. It's The Walking Dead. They have fantastic showrunners and writers. It's just they fuck up once and they fuck up big. That's just how it goes. Yeah, thanks for watching. I've been Tyler Townsend. If you made it this far, I love you. Thank you for watching my fucking very, very long video on this very, very small channel that has fucking hardly anything ever to do with The Walking Dead aside from that one video that I made. But thanks anyways. I'll catch you guys later possibly, and let me know if you're into this kind of thing to where I just spew my opinions and shit, because I have lots of opinions and a lot of them don't matter, but that's okay. But once again, thanks for watching.